I guess you're a bit on the periphery. Do you get so involved anymore yourself?
Well, I don't get involved, but because of my heritage, I get invited. So, Dita always invites me to her shows, and it's
Mhm.
wonderful to see the way cabaret is sort of coming back. No, it's not coming back, it is back. And live performance is still, uh, there's nothing quite like seeing a real person up close, and it's wonderful to see the audience that it attracts. It's young people, men, women. It's a new version of an old standby, and it's wonderful to see.
Yeah,
Hard work, very
I can
hard
imagine.
work.
You think it's very hard work?
I think I've always had great respect for live performers, especially in the cabaret field.
Mhm.
You have to travel from place to place a lot. You're living out of a suitcase, and
Mm,
you're sometimes doing 3 or 4 shows a day. That's tough.
mm. It is. And a lot of people are really, paralyzed in their income with this all going on now.
But everybody in the business is really suffering, from the
Mm,
stagehands all the way through to the big stars. There's just work has
mm.
stopped, and it's very sad.
I know. Well, in a way, it's actually propelled people to adopt technology. Look at us right now. But a lot of classes are happening online. A lot of people that were not maybe a bit complacent about what online could bring are realizing, gee, all these online stores where I'm selling my nipple tassels and can sell my prints with my income stream now. You know,
I think that's wonderful.
And so we're doing it. We chose a day to commemorate like 50 years since we lost your darling mum. And we wanted to make this a celebration of everything because tonight, in about an hour, I'm thanking one of our NHS care workers. She's a burlesque artist. This is our National Health Service logo over here. So
Uh-huh.
it works for them. And she got pulled into burlesque and discovered it as a way for her confidence because of Gypsy the musical. And I watched an interview where you said your mum was really determined to make them like musical out of her like memoir because she knew it would reach more people, become more of a household name, and it's happened. And so we just owe her and you a debt of gratitude. And we're launching it specifically on Sunday because of that date. And I want to send maybe some silver lining can be thousands of us across the planet will be celebrating and commemorating her on Sunday.
Well, I'm honored for her, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for it.
It's great. Do you know there's even burlesque in Colombia and the Philippines? I had no idea. People are contacting me and I'm like, wow, there's burlesque there. How did it get there? So it's gotten bigger than I think. I don't know. I don't really know back in the day. Was it really global when you were touring with your mum?
Well, I can tell you, we did when we in the 50s when we did the Palladium and the provinces in England. We also did 2 weeks in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my mother's act was had a lot of comedic patter to it, and of course, the Swedes saw more nudity on their beaches than they saw in my mother's show,
Right.
and so we had to get an interpreter. And so here she is doing her act, and over in the corner, there's this rather dour man in a brown, I can still remember him, in a brown suit, translating everything she said. So I guess burlesque was international, but only slightly.
Yeah. Well, now it is, I'll tell you the countries, some of the countries that have surprised me. Argentina, Colombia, Estonia, which is a very small country in Eastern Europe, Hungary, Prague, the Czech Republic, Chile. There's Mexico. There's a festival of burlesque in Mexico. Some of the Asian countries have surprised me too, like Tokyo and Korea. I just thought they have such, beautiful traditions with their own dance and those lovely types of fans and things that maybe they'd prefer that to burlesque, but it's become popular there as well.
I I know we call it burlesque. I also call it cabaret. Um, it's such a combination of things. It's both the women, of course, but it's also the comedy and the whole essence of live performance. And I think that that is really, and it's on a personal level. You know, if you talk about Japan and sort of kabuki, which is very stylized and certainly quite wonderful to see, it's not the same thing as having someone of your generation and just sort of like relating to you. It's a very personal kind of entertainment, and I think there's a lot of room for that, and I think people enjoy it.
That's great. And so do you think it's nice and a good feeling to know that this musical Gypsy has introduced so many people to such a wonderful art form, and inadvertently your work as well, because you were helping behind the scenes, you know, hiding in props, doing all sorts of odd jobs that people do around burlesque artists. So we thank you as well, because you kind of were the, you know, behind the scenes helping. Do you think it's great we've got this World Burlesque Day coming up now?
Oh, I'm very excited. I hope it's a great success, and I hope it also introduces more people to the entertainment that's to be had from it.
Yeah, definitely. I was curious, have you, you know, had much time in the show that you now do, where you tour with your home videos? Where has that been in the world? And is it, you know, when we get out of lockdown, do you think we can look forward to more of it?
Well, I certainly hope so. I certainly enjoy doing it. You know, it's not really my videos, it's my mother's films, which she started making back in the 30s, and which once I came along, I was the house photographer, of course, and you know, I sort of put them together to give sort of the life behind the musical. And I've done it. The only place I've never really done it in Europe. It did play without me in Australia about the time the Bette Midler version of Gypsy came out. And, you know, it's anybody who is interested in the musical, I think, would be interested in my show. And I have a lot of fun doing it. The question answers are always interesting, because it's always interesting for me to see what people find interesting in it.
Definitely. Well, I think it's just wonderful, and I think if we can bring it to England or to Europe, it would be very popular, because the wave of Dita's touring in the recent years has really opened up a new audience to it. And I think inadvertently, you know, you would get a lot of interest because more people have started to watch the movies of Gypsy, and that's constantly touring. I think it just finished in Manchester as a musical production recently, the musical itself. So there is a real interest for burlesque more than ever before, and these big stage shows have, you know, whet the appetite. So I think it would be wonderful to see you here and hear a little bit about that. Do you have any advice for anyone supporting burlesque artists? Because my husband kind of rolls his eyes sometimes when he gets asked to take a photo or carry a suitcase now. He knew what he was signing up for, but do you have any advice? Because it is quite a high pressured and like quite demanding sometimes.
I think you have to look at it from the positive side. He should really appreciate that he's getting to do something which very few people get to do. And as time goes on, the experiences of it become richer and richer in my memory. So yes, it's hard at the time, and I remember rolling my eyes a few times, but I also appreciate it infinitely more now. Getting back to my show, there's also been some to be doing it online. So I don't know if that's going to materialize or not, but it's very possible.
That would be amazing. Great. Yeah. I mean, look, technology has just given us so many ways to broadcast and connect with like-minded people. And I think that would be an incredible idea. Yeah. Keep me in the loop because we've got all the different channels. So we'd happily promote it for you wherever possible. And also when we're out of lockdown, we want to, you know, be drinking a sangria with you in Spain, in Ibiza on the island. I think if you haven't been there, you'd love it. It's very tropical, but it's very cultural and really wonderful experience just to see their stunning island. So that would be wonderful too. But all across the world now for World Burlesque Day, we're doing crazy, crazy things. So we're going to be thanking you in a segment and debuting this interview. And we also wanted to make sure we read some of the quotes that you'd sent us, you know, that your mum was sort of her staple, I guess you call it mantras. I think they're really beautiful, some of the quotes I found that you've sent and also online. She's just got such a great way with words. And I wondered if you would like to just say anything in support of the World Burlesque Day and to egg us all on when we start our mass glove peel on the internet together from our living rooms.
Well, all I can say is that I'm delighted that more and more people are appreciating burlesque, and I just urge everybody to try it. It's a great form of entertainment and a lot of fun. It's, you know, it's not serious, it's fun. And it's, there's nothing like seeing beautiful women and great comedians, and some of the most famous and wonderful entertainers of our time have come out of burlesque. So they should go see burlesque and see whoever's going to come next. I think, for example, Dita's shows are just wonderful.
Oh yeah, they're really the level that I would love all of our shows to get to when we get those big stages, because it does give you an even bigger platform when you've got some more sort of tech theatrics that you can play with. We don't have any small Erik Lee Premingers to open out props for us, though. You might have to train some. The things that they can do in stages these days are amazing. All the confetti that rains down when Dita finishes her show from the ceiling at the Palladium. Did they do that sort of thing in your mother's day?
Oh no, no. And things were much simpler in my time. You know, it's although, you know, she had the shadow box, which we trooped from city to city. So, you know, props and effects have always been there, but nothing like today. But then entertainment has become so much more flash.
Yeah.
But that's I think it still comes down to the people and the sense of a live person in front of you, entertaining you all the time.
Yeah, it's unbeatable. I mean, as much as Instagram and all these, you know, other channels, TikTok, YouTube are there's nothing like the live show and the feeling of being amongst other people. There's a shared experience. It's sitting in your own, you know, they even talk about virtual headsets now and actually showing concerts in this, you know, surround sound headset. But how boring by yourself, you know? I think people, this is showing me, if anything, lockdown, that we really crave each other and we really feed off each other. So shows are where you get that live energy, and that's a group anticipation. It's not the same if you're sitting in a theater by yourself, even if it's the best show in the world. It's not the same for the performer or the audience. Something I wanted to just lastly touch on was many performers are sharing how burlesque has actually very much helped them with mental health. And it truly has been that for me. And it's interesting now reading comments from Mexico, Chile, all these different locations where people are reiterating, it's helped me with my self-esteem, it's helped me accept my body, it's given me a new platform to look at myself through sort of a filter and realize the flaws are quite, you know, normal, and what I might have perceived as a flaw is something I can be proud of. And so do you think there's something a bit magical about burlesque itself because you are more in control, say, than maybe in ballet, where you've got a very strict formula you're following. What would you think is the key ingredient that helps people get this sense of something big and transformational?
Well, there's no limit to the gimmick. And so whoever you are, it's a question of adapting yourself to whatever you want to emphasize and whatever you want to show. So there's room for inventiveness of all kinds, of all types. And you just have to think about, what do I have to offer? And then the sky's the limit.
That's a great philosophy and sentence. And I love that quote. I am going to leave you to have your wonderful day. And thank you so much, Erik. This will debut on World Burlesque Day. We'll send some flowers. I'll sort that out somehow. And much love and thanks for your time today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Take care. Bye, Erik. Bye.